Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Magic Weaning podcast. My intention with these episodes is to bring awareness and clarity to the weaning of breastfeeding process because this is what I'm here to do.
You've created a miracle called life, breastfeeding or pumping every day and night. And there's gonna be a gentle weaning way. It's time to listen to Magic Weaning. Welcome to Magic Weaning. You ready for Magic Weaning with Gabriela Ungurelu.
Today we have a very interesting topic to talk about because it's the most common, popular, and used method to stop breastfeeding or pumping. Just stop feeding the child your breast milk. It's called the cold turkey method. If you haven't heard about this, even though I doubt you haven't, if you're a breastfeeding mother, you know what I'm talking about. Is that way in which you basically put your poker face on and just ignore the child and not have any emotion when they express their will to be nursed. So why are we talking about this? Because this should stop. Why to think that this should stop is because it's not funny. If you ask someone for something and they put up an emotionless poker face and just ignore you, how would you feel? If you want to raise your child with awareness and responsibility and honesty and openness, and I believe you do if you're listening to this podcast, you should reconsider if you consider to go this route. Because I also run into this information back in the day when I was looking for ways to stop breastfeeding my child. And being a lactation consultant, as I mentioned in the first episode of the podcast that I invite you to listen to if you haven't already, I found out this method, but it did not resonate with me because I'm a very expressive person. Like, my face has all the emotions on it. Like, I don't have to use many words in order for the person in front of me to know exactly what's going on in my head. I'm a very blunt and sincere person, and you can read that all over my face every time you interact with me. So having an emotionless poker face was not the thing for me to do. It was not because I could not do it on one hand, and on the other hand because I could not look my child in the eyes and pretend like breastfeeding never happened. Also, especially for being such a wonderful experience, because it is an amazing experience. Is, I think, the most deep level of intimacy that there is. So I will go into more detail in the second part. Please stay tuned and we'll talk a little bit more about this very soon.
You know what? It started making a lot of sense because I never really thought before working with you that this had a lot to do with me. It was really, my focus was not on that. And I realized once I started doing my homework and, you told me you have to make a list of all the fears you have about the, like the gentle weaning and what does this mean to you and your relationship to your son. I realized that all the fears had to do with me. About the love that we share, about the him getting sick, about him not sleeping. And somehow they would all be projected on me, like, what do I do if he gets sick? What do I do if he doesn't sleep? What do I do if he's not going to be just as attached? So everything had to do with me, and very little had to do with him. And this is something that I didn't discover anywhere else. Nowhere else did I read that, it's all about the mother, and they put the focus on the child and how it's okay for him to cry, and you need all this help, and have the child sleep with the dad, and have the nanny or have the grandma. And I don't have that support. I mean, I do have my husband, but he works a lot. My son has never slept with anyone except for me. Ever since he was born, I sleep with him in the same room. So I was like, I cannot afford to do this. I don't have a nanny. There's no grandma. So how do you apply those methods if there's no support? Working with you, I realized that you need you. You have to work with, you and your feelings, and that's it. And right in the end, so maybe 10% of this whole process had to do with the baby. But it was just so gentle and so genuine that I can't believe that, everyone should know about this. Everyone. I mean, I'm so relieved, and I'm so happy, and I'm so free now when I think back, that it's like, how come that this is not, out there? Like, you need to be out there.
Thank you for coming back. Today we are talking about the cold turkey method of weaning breastfeeding. And I hope I already triggered some curiosity inside of you, and I hope I already triggered some new perspectives in the first part of the podcast. So basically what's going on in this method is that, as I was mentioning in the previous podcasts, the child becomes what you are, not what you talk about, not what you ask them to be or do, but what you are. And they will treat you the way you treat them. So when it comes to cold turkey, if you pretend that breastfeeding never happened overnight, and you just use your poker face with zero emotions on it, the child will learn from you how to ignore you while looking at you eyes wide open. And you will get to live those frustrating moments when you know you have the power because you're an adult, you know it's the responsible thing to be done, but your child is not freaking moving, is not doing what you ask them to do. And they are just there sitting and watching you and not doing anything that you ask them to do. And then you say, it's this terrible twos, or they're very strongly willed, or whatever reasons and ways to describe it you use. But in fact, they learn that from you. They learn to ignore you while you are right in front of them because you did the same. The cruelty that you see in their eyes while they are ignoring you is the cruelty they learned from you. And using the cold turkey method is something that contributes to that. And if you take into consideration the fact that how you do one thing, you do all things, and you end up just ordering them around, well, enjoy the terrible twos. Okay? Because basically what's going on with the cold turkey method is that you are bypassing a very important and unique window to look deep within your soul and release from there fears and thoughts and emotions that no longer serve you. So you will not go on throughout life with those emotional baggages. So, because what's going on is that since you give birth and up until 7 years of age, the child is in your energy, is in the feminine energy. So basically, the child will manifest everything that you so fiercely and so well hide under the carpet. You can fool anyone saying you're okay and painting a beautiful smile on your face, but you cannot do that with your child. Your child sees right through you. And the more you deny what you feel, the more you deny your fears, the more you're in denial and regret, the more the child will bring it right in front of you. I always say that there's no terrible twos, actually. It's just the child manifests the anger that the mother suppresses. The child cries the tears that the mother doesn't allow herself to cry, and so on. So when it comes to the cold turkey method, it's a thing that helps you bypass some emotional shit you have to deal with. But it helps you bypass that just for the moment, because it will backfire. And even though you can still avoid it the first years or until the child goes to the kindergarten or school or anything, it will show up in the relationship that you have with your child on the long run. And not only that, but if you don't address the emotional baggage you're carrying, you're basically passing it on to your child. So whatever is going on with you when it comes to weaning breastfeeding, whatever feels so intense, address it so you will not pass it on. How to do this? Basically, either doing the exercises that I keep giving you in each episode, coming to my support group on Facebook and join the live Q&A meeting that is going on there every month, so that you get information, so that you get perspective, so that you get inspired on how to prep yourself for that moment that you're so afraid of. Because again, going through the cold turkey teaches your child to ignore you, to ignore others, to ignore themselves. When in doubt, when in fear, when in denial, you just ignore everybody. That's the lesson that your child gets from you. Plus, again, the emotional baggage that you don't deal with, that's moving on to the child. And I have this theory that we know the things we know, like that happened in our childhood and stuff like that, and the things that happened in our recent history. But there are also the things that we don't know that we don't know. And I'm not talking about the visionary part of life here. I'm talking about the history part of life that we don't know. Because as I was mentioning in the previous podcast, and if you haven't listened to it, please do so. Every thought that we have generates within our body a certain chemical reaction. And when a mother gets pregnant, the child is her own flesh and blood. The child is created from this emotional mixture that we live in due to our fast forward moving lives that we have. Everything is on fast forward. Everything we needed yesterday. So everything that we live is imprinted in every cell of the child. Biologically, literally. The child comes with the baggage that was left unopened before they come into this world, and so do we. And I call this category the pain that travels through generations until someone decides to feel it and release it. And you don't need to go into past life regressions, or you don't need to know all your grandparents and their lives. You don't need to go and look there, because you have within you everything you need in order to release the energy that was stored for generations inside of your DNA. So basically what you need to do is just face your fears, face your regrets, decide what kind of life do you want to have, and choose love, and choose freedom, and choose respect, and choose dignity for yourself first. Okay? So there are a lot of things going on here. There are a lot of things that you need to address and look at from this hidden category of not knowing what you don't know from your history. And in the Weaning breastfeeding process, you address a part of it. I also invite you to my 1-year program that is called Parent Yourself, where we go deep for 365 days into releasing patterns that you came here with. Okay, so the Weaning breastfeeding time, it's a short window for you to release some deep stuff that made their way up to you through generations, and also to understand that in order to be the parent that you want to be is not just about having the right car, the holidays, the school, the food, the right friends, the right neighborhood. It's also and mostly about being the adult that you want your child to become, is learning as much as you can to be free and to love in this world, so that your child will be as free as they can be and to love as much as they can love. And they will not be able to be more free than you are. They will not be able to love more than you love. So look for ways to give them an example of a free person, of a person that understands love, and reconsider the cold turkey method, in which we basically teach them to ignore everything, to just blank out, to just like turn everything off in your head and just ignore everything you feel, everything you generate in others, everything you generate with yourself, and just ignore the regrets that you're gonna go on into life, having into consideration the decision you took, because you will hurt people throughout life. Like I hurt people, you hurt people, our kids will hurt people. Let's just put that on the table right there. Nobody's perfect. You're responsible for the things you do, but you're not responsible for the way other people react to the things you do. We always have a choice. It can be a loss, or it can be a lesson. And it's important to also help them integrate this part in life that sometimes you take decisions that might end up hurting people. Sometimes you are faced with choosing something that makes you happy that might not make others happy. And the beauty of it is that for the most part, everything is just in your head. Because when it comes to weaning breastfeeding, your child just wants you to be happy. That's all they want. That's all. Like, as kids, I'm almost 40 years old. My mom still lives, and I still want to see her happy. I still want her to smile a lot. I still want her to enjoy life. And this is something that I always wanted. I always observed my mom hoping she's happy, hoping she's smiling, and I still have that towards her. So instead of teaching your child to ignore everything and just isolate themselves from including themselves, please don't consider the cold turkey method. Come join the Magic Weaning program or the free group, or read the book, or see the free resources on the website. That is gabrielaungurelu.com, and help yourself be a happier human being before being a mother, before being a parent, before being a professional. It will help you greatly in all the areas of your life. So I'll see you for my final talk in just a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
Beginning this process, it wasn't clear to me. So if any mother feels a little bit like, strange, because it is different, but it's in a good way. But take it as something that will really give you that freedom and that feeling of having a happy baby and a happy mother. Because when like I said, even after you gave me the homeworks and everything, I was like, is this really going to work? Like, I know a lot of mothers are saying that, the testimonials are saying that, yes, it happens. But I had moments when I said, I don't know if it's going to happen to me. I don't know if I'm that mother. I don't know, but slowly. So give yourself time, be patient with yourself. And even when you feel like it's not going to work, just don't give up. And I think it's normal. So now working with you on different level, I'm working with you in the grown-up program. I learned that we have to embrace whatever emotion comes to us. So even when you feel a little bit like not being supported, let's say by how the baby reacts or whatnot, just move on, move forward. It's going to happen.
Hi, and welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with me until the end of the episode. As we mentioned, the cold turkey method is a way to ignore the child, to ignore yourself, and to teach the child to ignore everything, including themselves. So I want you to, because if you thought about doing this, is because you also do this in your day-to-day life. It comes natural to you. And for most of us, ignoring what we think and feel we cannot deal with is the way out. And it's not necessarily bad when you have no other option. Just that in this case, you have the option of the Magic Weaning program, the Magic Weaning book, the Magic Weaning coaches. So use them. Okay? And by the time you reach us on social media or you get into the program with each one of us, again, take a piece of paper and a pen and be really, really, really honest with yourself. Where else in your life are you ignoring yourself? Where else in your life are you isolating yourself from life itself? What are you afraid of? What are your biggest fears in life? What are you running away from? And just by saying that, it will give you awareness and perspective, and maybe even some ideas on how to stop doing that. I invite you in the Weaning breastfeeding program. I invite you in the Parent Yourself program. Up until we meet, let me know what was helpful for you in this episode. Let me know what triggered you, what helped you change your perspective on this cold turkey weaning breastfeeding method that existed up until now. Share this with your friends, your groups. Talk about it, tag me. Go to my website and check out the free resources there, and also check out my social media in order to see what's going on around this and how else you can gain perspective and a direction in doing the weaning of breastfeeding in a way that is appropriate for you, your feelings, your child, and their feelings. I'll see you in the next episode. Again, I'm Gabi. I'm honored and privileged to be here today in front of you. I cannot wait to see you in the next episode. Have an amazing day.
Thanks for listening to Magic Weaning. Tell your friends about your magic weaning. Review, tag, subscribe. We hope you had a very good time.